Okay, so hello everybody. I just want to thank you guys for coming on here to talk about your reparations pull up and also for being, out there boots on the ground and putting actions to words because a lot of people talk about things but they don't do anything. And some people want other people, to pull up and they never pull up themselves. But so with that all being said, let's get into it. So Kiana, I want to start with you first. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having us, and hope everyone is having a great day.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So now listen, tell us where you're from, where your pull-up is going to be at, and when it's going to be. And just give us some, insight into what made you decide to get involved with this and how did you strategize to get people, to know about it, to spread the word, other than
Okay.
social media.
Okay. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and
Hmm.
raised. Um, I I am representing Illinois in the pull up. We're going to be pulling up at the Federal Plaza downtown Chicago on the 23rd of September.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where we'll be, and very much looking forward to it. I just feel like what got me into this is the need for us to actually put into what you were basically saying, do the work and put in work to get the things done that we need as a people. We are needing for so much and lacking so much, and a lot of us feel like our hands are tied, like there's nothing that we can do. I know I felt like that for a very long time. So,
Absolutely.
just being able to come be amongst like-minded people who have the same goal and who want to see our people get the same things was a blessing for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, the first opportunity I saw, I took it to be able to get out and spread the word, which I think is very important. Is spreading the word to people so that they can know and understand that there is a grassroots movement for us in particular, that's fighting for us in particular. So that's
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my main motivation.
Okay. And so, in your opinion, what exactly does a reparations package for, Black Americans, African Americans, melanated people from the U.S., whatever you may call yourselves, freedmen, what does a reparations package for us look like to you? Like, what would you expect it to entail?
So reparations package for us as a people, because the reparations package that we are fighting for is for, it's not on an individual level. It's it's for us as a whole. But
Hmm.
that looks like really the 5 points that we are covering in the pull up. The We need money, we need our land, we need protection, much like the Asians have with the hate crime bill. We need
Absolutely.
we need to be able to teach our children, much like the Native Americans are able to do. And we need we need our money. You know what I
That's right.
mean? We
That's
have to,
right. Absolutely.
yeah, we definitely need to be able to close this wealth gap, because
Yes.
that's killing us. That's keeping us as a bottom caste. So we definitely need to be able to do that.
Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. We absolutely do need to be able to have our children, to have an adequate education and to learn about the truths of their own histories and the fact that they're trying to make laws and things so that critical race theory isn't taught. And so they're trying to hinder us from talking about our own history and the truth of theirs. So we absolutely need those things in place. We also need protection for our children as well. Okay, so thank you, beloved. Now I want to speak with Marcus. Okay, Marcus, I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and basically what made you decide to have the pull up, and also let us know when your pull up is going to take place as well. Look,
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Greetings to
absolutely.
everyone. I'm originally from Long Beach, California. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, organizing the Ohio pull up. The reason I wanted to do a pull up is I wanted to make Ohio more active. There's a pandemic of black bodies hitting the ground from police officers here. Columbus, the city of Columbus, the state capital of Ohio, leads the entire state in murdering black people. And then Ohio leads the United States in murdering Black people, but falls well below short when you remove race. It actually isn't one of the places where they kill unarmed people the highest, but they kill us here at the highest rate. So with our pull up on the 24th of September is actually got moved from Columbus to Cleveland. In Columbus, they're going to have a protest on behalf of one of those people, Donovan, at the State House. And then we'll be here in Cleveland doing filming, highlighting the atrocities in Cleveland, like the 137 shots with Timothy and Melissa, Tamir Rice. And that's, to be specific, Tamir Rice is what really got me activated. I lived across the street. I was across the street when he was murdered. So that's kind of my son looks like Tamir enough to where I was like, he played at that same playground. It's next to elementary school. There's elements to that story that, I understand because I was in the Cadell neighborhood. So yeah, that's kind of my motivation where I'm from and what I do. I mean, I'm the executive director of Ohioans for Federal Reparations. It's a 501c4 here. We've started to try to produce candidates like Tariq K. Shabazz, who's running on reparations. He ran against Chantel Brown, who was the eventual winner, and Nina Turner. So yeah.
Okay. Wow, that is a lot. So that literally, that whole thing with Tamir Rice was right at your back door. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So I see why you're motivated. In Ohio, let me tell you something. I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky, even though I'm from Georgia, but Ohio wasn't that far. And they have so much racism and especially so many police involved shootings with Black people in Ohio. I have covered numerous of those stories. I really have. So yeah, this is really good that you're doing this. Now, let me ask you, who do you think, as far as melanated people in the United States, is entitled to reparations?
That's a great
Because,
question.
some people feel that they're entitled to reparations from the U.S. too, simply because they reside here. How do you feel about that? Do you think that Black people who immigrated here should be included with reparations along with us? Basically is what I'm asking. Or do you think that it should just be for Black Americans who were born and raised here?
So I argue with Ohioans for Federal Reparations for lineage-based reparations, meaning people who can claim that their family descended from U.S. chattel slavery and has been here since this company, the same difference, country has persecuted us all the way, even post-slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, all of those things. So I'm for lineage-based reparations, people who can prove that their family is on the 1865, 1870 census and were enslaved here. I believe that people who immigrate here have issues with their home country and they should either take those things up with their home country or individually seek whatever atrocities happen to them on this land. But I don't believe that's a part of the reparations package that we have here. It's so, what's the word I would use, comprehensive over the course of hundreds of years that there's no way that we can include people who have just immigrated here in the last even 50 years, So no, I think it's just for the people who descend from U.S. chattel slavery.
Okay, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I believe that the other melanated people are owed reparations, but from the countries of their origin. I absolutely agree with that, where their ancestors were enslaved. That's how I feel about that. Okay, so another thing is, do you feel that we fight for these other groups when they have issues, and do you think that they return the favor? How do you feel about that?
I hope I don't go too long with it, too much of a tangent here, but I think it's an issue of pride.
Try not
No,
to.
no.
Okay.
I think
But
it's an
just
issue of
speak your
pride.
truth.
A lot of our lineage. I'm a Black American. A lot of my lineage seeks intersectionalism because they don't have a pride in being a Black American, so they fall into these other groups, LGBTQ, whatever, Christian. They try to find any other thing to just say that they're a Black American who descends from U.S. chattel slavery. So they get into these intersectional fights, and no, these intersectional fights have not benefited us because we wouldn't continue to finish last if they did. There's no reason that we sit behind the Asians in the hate crime bill. I mean, just to be quite frank, y'all took a couple ass whoopings. My people took lynchings and slavery, and we still don't have a hate crime bill. So yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like, no, other groups are not fighting for us the way we fight for them. And a lot of that has to do with, us having pride in our own lineage.
You're absolutely right, because you know what I recall, and this was just a few months ago. I remember when the Haitians were at the border and how they were beating them like they were slaves with the whips and all that. They said it wasn't whips, it was the reins that they pulled the horse with. Sorry, that's still a whip, right? And so when they were doing all those things and then they put them on planes and shipped them right back from whence they came, I remember Black Americans were upset I remember we were speaking out. I spoke out. I talked about it and covered it on my channel. But what I find is that some of these people will go in on us and act like we're the, bottom of the barrel. They don't want to have anything to do with us. They don't identify with us. And they really don't get out there and march and protest or do any of these things with us and for us. But I noticed that we seem to always be upset when bad things happen to them. So I just really wish that more of them would return the favor. I mean, there may be a handful of them, but as a collective, they don't fight for us or with us. Okay. So thank you, beloved. So now I want to talk to Miss Fly Girl. Okay, so Miss Fly, and also, beloved, before you go, Marcus, tell us again where your pull-up is going to be and when.
So the pull-up has kind of been, we had to call an audible, literally 13 days left. We were organizing for Columbus. That got changed. So we're moving it to Cleveland. It's in Cleveland, September 24th. We got some things, some surprises that we're working on. So I've kind of just been quiet recently about all of the things that we're working on in Cleveland. But yes, it's in Cleveland, September 24th. So I appreciate all the support.
Okay, no problem. All right, Miss Fly Girl, let's talk to you, beloved. Tell us where you're from. And tell us about your pull-up, when it's going to be.
I am originally born and raised Houston, Texas. Okay. And yes, so our pull-up, I represent the Texas pull-up, and we are all gathering in Austin, Texas, and we are marching all the way up to the state capitol, which is in Austin, and that will be on the 24th of this month, September.
Okay, great. Okay, so now my question to you is, why do you think it's so imperative for Black Americans to have an anti-Black hate crime bill?
I think it's very imperative because we've seen that Black Americans have gone through this system where their lives did not matter, where it was always okay to have a bogus excuse as to why you could kill Black bodies. We were a threat, we were criminal. It was always a reason why you could just take our lives for no reason. It's important that we're protected because we know that this country looks at us as public enemy number one. We know that they have raised generations where they have been able to weaponize our skin, that they could just call the police on us. So this is something that is known to everyone, that if I call the police on you, I know that the system is put in place that they will kill you. They can take you down. There is no talking to. They're just going to kill you. And so that is why it is very important, because not only are we being subject to hate crimes from like your buffaloes, right? But we're also being subject to hate crimes in a sense where people feel they have the privilege to call the police on Black bodies because they know the ultimate, the ultimate outcome, which is very dangerous.
It absolutely is. I agree with you wholeheartedly. My next question is, how do you feel about CPS just taking Black people's children from the home based off of allegations and without any validated proof, and just taking these children and placing them wherever they want to?
I think that is a huge problem, and that goes along with the way this country has systematically viewed Black Americans, just criminal, wayward, not educated, not having any morals or standards. This is the lie that has been repeatedly told to those coming to this country about us. And this system tears our families apart. These children are often put into foster care where they're not being in foster care with people that match their culture, where they are being uplifted and reminded who they are. They're not being protected. A lot of these children, they go into these foster homes and they're being sexually abused. They're not taking the time to say, where is a family member that could possibly take care of this child as they would a white American. So that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So I feel that a lot of the child trafficking that occurs, I think CPS has a lot to do with that. You know, through my research, I found that CPS is likely one of the largest sex trafficking organizations in this country, as far as I'm concerned. Just from the things that I've read, the reports and all of that, and how do children get placed in there and then they're never seen or heard from again? These are things that happen. And I feel that these are mostly predominantly Black children that these things happen to. So I absolutely agree with your concerns on that. That is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. And that also, as you said, should be part of our reparations package, because that's one of y'all's 5 points. Okay, so now I want to speak to I'll next speak to Conscious Outlaw. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on, beloved. And yeah, so now let me ask you this before you go. What were some of the things you did to help spread the word about your pull-up? Other than social media, did boots on the ground, like what other ways did you get the word out to get people involved?
So one of the clever things that I did was I made sure that everywhere I went, I had reparations messages on my t-shirts to spark up conversation with those who may have identified with my lineage and my heritage.
Okay.
That was a conversation piece, reparations, no reparations, no vote. I have that t-shirt, and that's often, I even talk to some people at my job, some customers that I speak with at my job of different races. And you would be surprised when you hear that some cultures that have gotten reparations, like the Jewish, they understand what our plight is to receive our reparations. So that's some of the ways, getting in contact with my friends, my family. Most of my friends and family, they're not on Twitter. So, having conversations with them, sending them links to everything that we have, but mostly just starting the conversation with a conversation piece as having t-shirts saying reparations. People want to know what you're talking about when you say reparations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, I absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Conscious Outlaw, you're next. So tell us where you're from, where your pull-up's gonna be, and when it's gonna be. Let's start off with that first.
Okay, thank you very much. I owe a lot of my social justice work to you, and really appreciate you taking this interview for us. And also the California organizer, she said she's in the waiting room. Yaya Ansley, I was wondering if you could bring her in.
Okay. Sure. Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Conscious Outlaw hailing from St. Louis, Missouri, Ferguson to be exact. I grew up in Ferguson, Missouri. I moved there when I was 6 years old in 1984. I lived there to 2000, and my children had apartments there during the Mike Brown riots, actually right down the street from where Mike Brown's body was unfortunately, or he was murdered. So that's what brought me into actually wanting to do boots on the ground work. And like I said, I studied and worked with you for years, for a couple of years, and watched you and got inspired and wanted to just do work for our people. And then I came into Twitter and met a bunch of great people. And we came up with this idea as a collective to get boots on the ground, pull up wherever we can, and make a difference for reparations, for change, for social justice, letting everybody know this is a justice claim to stop with illegal immigration, put a cap on immigration, the anti-hate crime, Black hate crime bill, protection for CBS. So with that being said, I just um, basically just came in here just galvanizing with a lot of great people, and my pull-up is going to be in Kansas City, Missouri, because I had a hard time getting people in St. Louis to galvanize, because we have a lot of Pan-Africanists here, and it's very difficult for them to ask for reparations. It's a whole situation. But Kansas City, Missouri, I was able to galvanize, I was able to get permits, and we actually have people from Kansas and Kansas City, because it's a split city. So we call it the MoCan pull-up, and we're pulling up at Mill Park on the 25th from 2 to 12. And we'll be handing out flyers and basically educating. There's going to be an art fair there, so there'll be a lot of foot traffic, and we'll be able to educate people and make people aware of the justice claim for reparations.
Okay, absolutely. Okay. So, do you feel that we need some measure of protection against states taking Black people's children without proper justification? This goes back to the CPS that I was just speaking with Ms. Flygirl about. So, tell me your thoughts on that. How they just snatch up these kids and all that stuff.
I absolutely feel that that's a problem because I have a friend who recently had a problem with this. She lives in Las Vegas, Nevada, and she had a problem with her family member. And unfortunately, it was her mother. And she was living there, and there was a rift, and she called CPS, and now she didn't get her children removed, but she homeschools her children. So she's having to go through all kinds of things because her mother wants her children to be in public school versus her teaching her kids from
Teaching them
home.
at home.
Keeping them from
So,
being indoctrinated and stuff like that. And they're coming at her like she's neglecting her children, and she's having to jump through all kinds of hoops just to hold on to her children. She's a business owner. She also works a full-time job, and it's just ridiculous how one phone call she had to do like 3 interviews. She has a 17-year-old son. I'm a 16-year-old son. They're coming talking to him, taking them over to corners, asking them questions, and it's just too much for a person to have to prove that they're a viable parent, and you can see that they are.
right. And it just takes, like you said, one phone call for somebody to be all up in your business and giving you a hassle about your own children. Another thing is the states, they don't really want people homeschooling their kids because the schools literally make their funding off of based on how many of the children are in the classroom. Like, in New York, I do believe they get $3,000 for each student that sits in class. And if you're homeschooling your kids, they don't get that money. So they really have a problem with that. Okay, so another thing is, why do you think illegal immigration is an issue for your community and in your state specifically? As far as what are the negative aspects of illegal immigration, in your own community where you live?
Well, the community specifically here where I live, our main problem would be illegal immigrants from south of the border, like the Mexicans. They're going into the housing projects that were traditionally set aside for us. That means that they're coming in there and they're overloading. They're like, if it's a 2-bedroom, they're putting more people that's supposed to be in there, and they're not reporting how many people are actually in there.
Mhm. Right. Okay. So got you. So with that all being said, what do you feel about, you know, how they've got these open borders right now? Kamala Harris isn't doing her job. We've had Governor DeSantis send people to Martha's Vineyard. We've had Governor Abbott send people to Kamala's front door. I absolutely love it. That's where he should have sent them. And so what do you think about with these open borders? They're letting these people in. And then we have millions of these people coming in. They're staying in fancy, high-priced hotels while we have a homeless problem with people on the streets and things like that. Now, do you think that if they're going to at least allow them to come here legally, that there should be a cap on it? Because I think that's one of you all's talking points about your reparations package. And so tell me a little bit about that, why you think there should be a cap as far as them, or if you whether or not you think there should be a cap on them letting, people come in even legally.
It absolutely should be a cap because they're taking up the resources for the Black Americans that are actually underprivileged that need those resources. Say like people being on housing lists for like 10 years, but they come here and they get this strictly exactly onto the housing list. Also, when they come here and they get automatic like food stamps, and then for the kids and children, even though the parents may not be able to get them, they still give the children the food stamps. So it's like if you have kids, they just suck up all the resources that we actually pay taxes and that our ancestors have fought for and died for. So I believe that there should be a limit to the people that come in here to make sure that we get our fair share and allotment of the resources that we have lived here for hundreds of years and created for ourselves.
Absolutely, I agree with that. That sounds good to me. I mean, I just think it's unfair when you have these people come here, especially the ones that are coming illegally, and they're getting all these resources, fancy places to stay, 5-star hotels and all of that, free housing later, being given jobs, driving around with no licenses and all these things. And then we can't get the simple necessities, the bare minimum of the things that we need. I really think that is a serious issue. And I'm glad you all are addressing that as part of your reparations package. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to Chef C. And Chef C, I want you to tell us where you're from, when your reparations pull-up is going to be, and where. And then I have a few more questions for you.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Peace to the gods and goddesses. My reparations stomp, I call it, is going to be out here in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, to be more specific. Out at the City Hall, okay, on the 21st of September. That's going to be this upcoming Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's the time we're going to be getting it popping out here. I'm very excited about this because, well, first and foremost, when we talk about the reparations claim, what it looks like for our people, it's a very significant and specific claim that is only meant for those descendants of chattel slavery and those who can trace their lineage back to the killing grounds of the USA. So I just got to keep that 100. It's not for everybody else, okay? All
That's
melanated ain't the same, baby. Let's be very clear about all of that. So ours just is, it's very specific. So when it comes to getting what's rightfully owed, obviously it's not going to be a situation where we can continue to ask because we see that that's not working. It has to be something that has to be taken and demanded and pretty much emphasized based upon our efforts and our stance as a Black American community. Other than that, sister, we're going for what's rightfully ours. There's a debt owed, right? We're just gonna make that very plain and simple. There's a debt owed. If you can hit me up and I owe you something on the credit card, I can hit you up when you owe me something for what my doggone ancestors put on this doggone ground. You got to pay us. That's it.
That's right.
So other than that, what else do you have for me? I'm here in my kitchen right now. I'm just gonna try to give it to you quick, strong, and right to the point, sis. But what do you got for me?
Well, I'd like to know, do you think that other melanated groups have aided Black people in our fight for reparations? Because I mean, some of them want to lay claim to it and say, hey, we need to get some reparations too. Do you think that they've been helping in the fight for it? I mean, if they want some, they should have been, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to know what they've done to justify
well,
their...
I mean, I would like to tell you this. I mean, what they've done, especially, we got Barack Obutlik and we got Kamala Harris running around here, and all they have done is made something very special for themselves and fought for their people instead of fighting for the Black Americans. So the idea of having the very first Black president or the first Black American VP has yet to take place. So let's be very clear about that. There has been no Black American president. There has been no Black American VP. And as far as them fighting for us, well, I mean, which way did he go? Because I'm still looking for it. I ain't see nobody on the battlefield. Understand me? So until they show up, then I can get on that type of time. But as far as I'm concerned, especially being in the restaurant industry, from the Africans to the Latinos, I see everybody looking out for themselves and not looking out for the Black Americans who have provided them with the opportunity to come here and get some of this paper. I land with that.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Well, you certainly said a lot, and I agree with everything you said, honey. They have not Kamala Harris and Barack Obutlik.
Yes. I mean, they said, hey, she said that it's my understanding that she had a whole bunch of extra beds in the basement at Martha's Vineyard for some of them Latinos that they let off at her crib. So yeah, you love them so much, go ahead and give them some room and board, sis, okay? Because we don't need them, you understand? And I got a few right now that I can send to you if you're so welcoming and open to have everybody else coming and get what the hell we done built instead of holding down the people. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the chick told us, and I can't be mad at her for this. I just need to be very clear. And us as Black Americans, we need to be very clear. I'm not going to do nothing specifically only for Black people.
Black America. That's what she said.
She said, whatever helps everybody else is going to help Black Americans. So the people who built this country have to wish upon a star that trickle down effect is supposed to hit us at some point, right? Nah,
Right.
we're cool on that. We pulling up September 2022, the whole doggone month. We gonna get our check. We want that immigration. You're gonna put a cap on it. And then we also gonna make sure that some of these cats go home because I believe in ICE. Okay. And I have a very strong book of putting that call in and doing my civic duty and getting them back home with their family members. It's about reuniting. We are the moral fiber of this country. So we have been pulling up and calling ICE and getting them back home. Say hello to your abuela from Chef C.
I absolutely cannot with you. Okay, well, thank you, beloved. Thank you. I absolutely love this. Listen, I want to thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because I have another interview coming up shortly. But I want to thank you all for coming on here and speaking your truth. And this reparations packet that you all have compiled with the 5 key points, I absolutely love it. Because most people talking about reparations, all they're thinking about is a check. But there's other things that we need, and you know, as opposed to just having the check. So of course we need our cash, yes, but we also do need the protections with the anti-Black hate crime bill. We need protection for our children from CPS. We also do need them to do something about these illegal immigrants and also to put a cap on the immigrants that are even here legally. That's what we need because all of that affects us. And we need them to more so stop talking about, you know, everything they do for everybody else is going to trickle down to us. They've been telling us that for decades. And by they, I mean the Democrats specifically. Okay. So I love all of you on Talking Points. And I want to give you all a big shout out for putting in the work, being boots on the ground, spreading the word, and putting action behind your words. I really appreciate that. I want to thank you all for coming on here. All right. And so I wish you all the best of luck with your pull-ups. And, you know, I'm going to be keeping up, you know, so you all let me know how everything turns out. Okay.
All right. Thank you, beloved. Peace to the
Yes,
gods and
absolutely.
goddesses.
Absolutely. Peace and love. I'm going to
Thank
conclude the
you.
broadcast. All right.
Thank
Peace,
you.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.